Hey. So I'm back. Gonna be doing a little bit of Mando here. Apologize for the really dark screen, or at least my camera capture being dark. After a week of teaching with the light on that camera, I feel like I've been blinded. So I've made a bit of progress here on Mando. In terms of just doing the armor. Again, I'm really trying to avoid plugging away on bits and pieces that I need to demo for the class. I'm using an older base mesh as the stand-in for the body. I got the helmet done and I've scaled it, and I've gone in and started plugging away on some of the armor, some of the other armor bits here to complete his look. The helmet is done. I don't think there's anything I really want to tweak on the helmet. There's a little nodule or something. There's a little nodule that goes underneath this, and I've been trying to find a really good reference of it. But it's really, really tough. His shoulder pauldron is done. I actually need to mirror it over to do the other one, but there's no sense in doing that until I do some UVs on this, and get to a point where it's going to work. I don't want to have to unwrap two of them, and so I'm going to wait until I've got some UVs on it in order to unwrap it, and I'm going to have to put his emblem. They are a clan of two, and so the Mudhorn insignia needs to go and get mounted on here. I think what I'm going to do is actually sculpt that in ZBrush and create I don't know if I'm going to have enough topology to make it. I'm kind of being a little leery of the topology that I'm doing. I've got a lot of things like every surface is round. Every surface has got smoothness to it, which is really similar to the way it looks in the show. But one of the reasons that I'm doing that is that you can see the little bit of light that an edge catches. It's a micro bevel. And is my sound out? Can you not hear me? I have audio. Because I've been talking here for a bunch. And so it would be disappointing if nobody else can hear me. Aha, it was Robert. Had your volume down, did you, bud? Okay, good. good. It's Robert fucking with the stream. We're good. So yeah, so every mesh that I've got is got some rounding to it like that. So every single, when you go and see these things up here, every single one of them is slightly rounded. I chamfered everything. And part of the reason for that is like I'm going pretty low res on a lot of these pads. And they still, they still hold up really nice at the resolution they're at. And so minus the base mesh, I'm at 22,000, with the majority of that actually coming from his helmet. Actually, that's not the majority of it, but a good chunk of it coming from his helmet. About half is in the helmet. And so, and I did the same micro bevels exist in the helmet as well. So I just want to make sure that because it's going to be highly reflective, right? Because we're going to get a lot of shine on this when I do the material, I would like to make sure that those areas are really clean, and that they look correct compared to what's in the show. And he's actually had there's been 3 versions of him in the show. He's been upgrading his armor. He is a nerd. He gets a couple of bucks, and the first thing he does is upgrade. Sounds like a gamer. And so that is what I'm on here. I've got one hip pad. Again, there's going to be a clone of that over here. These 3 things, his butt plate and his hip pads, all get tucked under his belt. I just did this thing between my Sheridan classes today, which is some kind of a padded little vest thing that he wears, or an abdomen cover that he wears. I'm starting to get into the layers here too. With the amount of clothing he's got, there's layer upon layer upon layer, and so I'm at that. Hey, Yash. I gotta tell you, Yash, you got some competition, man. I've got people asking me if they can rig this thing. And so anyway, so that's where I'm at. I've also been, excuse me, holy crap. I've also been going mental with the collection of reference. I found a ton of reference, including a bunch of photos of the actual costume, and I'm loving that this guy's really popular with cosplayers right now, because I've been able to find his actual his undersuit, the flight suit. I tell you what, Yash, if you're gonna rig this sucker, I want you to go as hard as you can on this. Next gen rig, my friend. And so yeah, so I've actually got all of the and because the stitching is so white on this costume, which actually I don't even think it is on the actual character. Like you can see the stitching, but it's not as brilliant as that, which I can show you here. Stitching's like it's a lot darker here than what's in that thing. So it means that I can actually get a pretty good look at where all the stitching is and how this thing's put together. So that's going to be a little easy to reproduce. Now the suit, the flight suit that I found, I think doesn't have the vest. Yeah, the vest is missing from here. So he's got this, and then he's got a vest that lives on top of this, and then the armored pad that I just made goes under that. And so here's the armored pad again that somebody made. And again, I've been trying to cross-reference the stuff that people have made with what's actually on him, to make sure that it's accurate. And so far the cosplayers have been pretty darn good at what they're doing. I also found reference of his rifle, which I wasn't actually looking for it when I found it. But I did found it, and I'm pretty pleased with that. I can't find the one. There's one of them. One of them is the entire rifle kind of laid out. But anyway, very up close details. It actually looks terrible up close. I guess this is a somebody's prop that they've built, which doesn't really hold up to scrutiny up close, and so there are some really intricate things on this. But anyway, this is going to be pretty fun to model. And then I found his pistol as well, which again, it was something that I wasn't looking for it when I found it. There's his pistol. I wasn't looking for it when I found it, but now that I've got it, I was like, oh, I'll take that. And that's an action figure. The reason I grabbed this was it was actually the only shot that I found where he's got the pack on. I haven't found a lot of reference of that pack yet. Anyway, what I'm on to today is going to be doing some of the leg details. So I want to get this thigh plate made. You can see he's got two very different thigh plates. And it really bothers me that this one is all damaged and dinged up. And this is what he looks like at the end of the show. So he hasn't actually got a new thigh plate. I've gone and looked at the trailer again for season 2 to see if maybe he's actually got a newer thigh plate for that. It's also his hip pads are the old school hip pads. They're not upgraded, at least in the action figure here. Again, I haven't got a lot of reference of the entire costume from season 2 or from season 1. And so I'm trying to nail that down. I do have the entire costume from season 1, or at least from the beginning of season 1, where everything is a hodgepodge of mess that he's collected. Where it's a thigh pad from this and a collection thing from that and whatnot, and his shivers are different and his gauntlets. But in the I really do like the Beskar armor. That's what I want to reproduce, and so that's what I'm going to do. I do have to find a full body version of him that isn't the action figure with this costume on, to try and get the reference I need for everything else, because it is Oops, didn't mean to do that. It's difficult to find. And so I'm going to start off by doing that. He's got an intricate knee piece, which is one of the things. Actually, I thought I had this saved here. I'm not actually seeing it now. There's actually several images. Oh, there's the full rifle. Okay, so I do have that. I was going to say, there's a few pieces that I thought I grabbed reference of. There we go. So there's his knee pad, which has got these weird things on it. And I think it actually stops here. I don't think there's any metal in the back. I think it's just a strap around the back. I'm going to have to make these pouches and such. Not that. That's not what I wanted. This. So yeah, it's hard to see where that knee pad goes. Which is, again, it's why I've been relying a little bit on some of them. They're cosplayers, because they are doing all the research for me. And so I'm able to, oh, look at that. His glove is actually longer than I thought it was. It actually goes up inside the gauntlet. That's worth noting as well. That's the old school plate. Yeah, that's of no use to me. So yeah, I'm trying to find that detail that's on his chest. And the problem is, this is the closest I can see to it. It looks like there's a little square down here, which I've got. And then it looks like there's a little tick or something in the middle of it. Which is not something that I do have. So I've got the little square, which is this guy here, and it looks to me like there's just a little box underneath this, which is probably what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave it until I can actually find proper reference of it, though, and get it correct. So I'm going to go take a look here for Din, Jarin, Beskar armor, and see what we can find. Beskar. In terms, so there's a lot of like cosplayer stuff like this where they've printed the whole thing. And again, like I've got the hip pads here, and this isn't the whole thing. So this is actually incomplete. Because the butt plate is missing, it's not here, and his knees are not here, or anything that's on the shins. Dude, there's a Lego Mandalorian. Actually, I knew there was a Lego Mandalorian. My son has asked if he can get me the Razor Crest, the Lego Razor crest, for Christmas. To which I was like, hell's yeah. I was all like, you gotta help me build it. But yeah, this is the version of the costume that I want. I need to find the actual guy in order to make sure that this is correct. Okay, so the knee is not present when he's in full costume. So I don't have to do the knee. Let's open this in a new tab. I'm going to save this image here as well. Save image as. And we'll just make sure this gets dumped into the right folder. Okay, so this one's a fairly easy piece to create. Let's go and do that. I'm going to open up that reference material. I'm going to keep it on the other monitor. I realize you aren't going to see it, but that's less important than my being able to see it. And so I kind of need to know where it is and how it interacts with the rest of the outfit. It's a little odd to me that I don't have the other one here. I'm going to have to make the other one. I don't like that the other one is asymmetrical and it's all damaged and dirty. I'd love to have him in full Beskar armor. And I know, like, he's going to get there eventually. I know in the show he's going to get there, but I don't want to jump the gun. Okay, so I'm going to start this with a plane. And it looks like, trying to gauge where he is here. His knee, so it's just above the knee. I'm just going to end about here. Okay. So let's move this to the front of his leg. Now I'm also like, I'm trying to place these on a mannequin here. And again, I'm going to end up changing the character and putting a full costume on him. And so these things, like, they're going to shift around a little bit as I do this. Why the Mandalorian? So I mentioned this story, Yash, earlier in the first video, which was when I was first taught how to 3D model by someone who did it professionally. One of the first things that I was told, and I'm a huge Star Wars fan. That's a major part of it. I have Star Wars stuff all over my room that I'm in here in my studio, and I'm a Star Wars junkie. I love the original trilogy, and that's about all that I loved up until The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian to me was actually as good as the original trilogy was. Everything else I could take or leave. But the original movie, there was something just magical about it, and you got to remember too that I was a kid when those movies came out, and so I was the right age to be mesmerized by something like that. And I was really, really taken by it, and I remembered being a kid and having sticks that my friends and I would light on fire to pretend that they were lightsabers, and we had arguments over who was Han and who was Luke, and it was just one of those things that it was just a part of my childhood, and so I've always been drawn to Star Wars because of that. And so anyway, when I was first taught how to 3D model, back when I first went to school for game stuff, the gentleman that taught me 3D modeling told me to never model anything Star Wars. And his reason behind it was that I was just starting out. And when you just start out at anything, you're not going to be any good. Something I echo to my students now. It takes time and effort and practice to get good at anything. And so that was one of the things that I kind of took to heart when he told me, was to not do anything Star Wars. And the reason for that is that most of Star Wars is digital nowadays. And when somebody looks at artwork that you've done, fan art of something like Star Wars, it's always going to be kind of the same thing. Your artwork is not going to be as good as the artwork of the digital artists that made the original. And because of that, that's always what you're going to get complained about. And so, because of that, I stayed away from Star Wars. I took his advice. I just got a message from my wife letting me know that my daughter, while going to bed right now, is actually listening to the stream as I go. She herself has become quite taken with The Mandalorian. I offered to show her an episode on the weekend, and that turned into a daddy-daughter marathon, and we went through the whole thing together. And so yeah, hi, sweetie. And so yeah, because of that, I kind of stayed away from doing Star Warsy stuff, because you get compared to professionals in the industry, and you're not there yet. Your stuff's never going to look as good, and so for that reason, I kind of stayed away from it. And it wasn't until recently that I kind of thought about this, and I don't know what made it dawn on me that I am at that point. I'm at the point where I am good enough to reproduce this stuff, as good as what we see elsewhere. And I don't know why it took me that long to realize it. And so, anyway, in September, teaching a new character course at George Brown, and I create a character along with my students. Um, I wanted to make something that was going to be fun for me to make. After doing a couple of Overwatch characters with the previous semesters, not there's anything wrong with Overwatch, but I just got tired of doing that style. And so after that was done, and I wasn't doing Overwatch any further. I kind of wanted to do something for me. I wanted to do something a little bit more fun, and usually my go-to when I do this is superheroes. And I'll make a superhero character, but I don't even know. I don't know what it was that made me go this way. Hey, how's it going? And so that's kind of why I ended up in this position of doing Mando. I just got to a point where I was like, man, I want to make something fun, and I want to make something for me, and the Mando is what came from that. He's I'm loving the show. My daughter and I just watched the trailer for season 2, which looks killer. I was actually commenting on the fact that season 2 trailer, man, it looks like it's a film. It doesn't look like TV, and kudos to Favreau and the people behind the scenes that are making this thing, because it's incredible looking. It's not what you get from your typical TV show, and that's huge, man. And so I'm stoked. I love the show, and so anyway, that's why I ended up going this route. I was like, oh man, I want to model something fun. I want to model something for me, and all of those things just pointed at the Mandalorian, and so that's why I'm making him. And so so I'm trying to gauge here. There's some really funny things going on with this armor plate. So I've got it really, really straight here from the front, and it's not. The more I look at it in this image, the more I can actually see that the entire thing curves inward or outward. It's got a bowing outward curve to it, which is really, really interesting that they did that. Right now, mine is really, really, really straight, which again is, it's the point that I'm up to is adding this curvature now. It might be a little tall too. Bring it down just a little bit. Yeah, maybe something like that. And so I think there's a curve to it. Let's go do some soft selection. Now, what I really should be doing here is looking at another piece of reference, if I can find one. That's the original one that I found. Yeah, that's totally curved. I can see it in this one too. There's an outward curve on this panel. Let me go into high, tools, size, high. I was talking a little bit earlier in the Discord chat about my daughter wanting to be the armorer for Halloween, or the blacksmith. This female Mandalore, which is awesome. That's a freaking fantastic costume. And that I would have to 3D print her helmet in order to get one for Halloween, which isn't, that's not the end of the world. It's not a hard thing to do. But it made me realize that I could 3D print all of this stuff. It was actually pointed out to me that I could 3D print all of this stuff. And when you look at 3D printed stuff online, the people that actually sell their armor, you'll see a lot of these people have this stuff And you can see these are 3D print files. This is not well modeled. He looks kind of goofy here. But they're selling them at a pretty high price. Oh, this one's odd. This one's only $15. But it is not fantastic. I mean, it's accurate in that the details are all in the right places. In similar to what I did, but you can see like it's really wonky in this this render here. I worked really hard on trying to make sure that those proportions and everything was correct. But anyway, some of the 3D printable ones that you find online are a couple $100 that people are charging for these things. And it dawned on me that, man, I should friggin' throw some of my geo up there and let people print it. I'd have to do a couple of prints myself, make sure that the files work correctly. But man, there's a killing to be made there somewhere. Okay, so again, I'm looking for his thighs. Oop. Yeah, so this image makes it incredibly clear. I mean, it's the same image I'm looking at. Oh, yeah. So yeah, this one makes it really clear that curve is there. In fact, this one also has a bend in it. These two lines that they've created here, which are meant to represent these two lines here. It looks like they've actually bent the armor in there. And I don't know, I think that's actually just a reflection. And I think it's a reflection because I can see more reflection here. And I'm not seeing a bend anywhere in the bevel around the outside. So I'm tempted to think that that's not accurate. It's so tough to tell, though. I'm going to save this. I mean, it's the same image I'm looking at. But I will go grab that. And again, every other picture that you find is an action figure, or the old costume, the original beginning episode costume. I'm gonna say that's season 2, and the only reason I'm saying it's season 2 is that he's in a snowy environment, which doesn't happen in season 1. Man, that really gives a tint to his armor here. So this is one of the things that I've been looking at in a lot of the images. Whenever you get anything reflective, it's hard to really gauge what color something is. And it's hard to gauge that because something purely reflective just takes on the color of the environment. But I can see in his armor that it's not silver, and it's not silver, and it's not a flat white metal. You know, it's not a nickel or anything like that. There's a tint to it. There's almost this kind of warm value that's here, and that's one of those things that I want to be aware of when I'm doing this. And so anyway, I've put a little bit into my mesh. I do find it interesting here. I'm looking at the helmet, and I can actually see the room that he's in. I can actually see where the screens are here. Again, he's in kind of a cylindrical room, but that's where they film this thing. Anyway, that's of no use to me. I want to actually see if I can find... Is it an action figure? Yeah, so here, look at this. This is a 3D model somebody's pre-order. Is it an action figure? What the hell is this? It's pictures of the show and then pictures of a 3D model. And the 3D model is, I mean, it's okay. The fabric looks stupid. And this is $810. And so that's kind of crazy, man. That's kind of crazy. So I wasn't kidding when I said that people sell this stuff for a small fortune online. It is incredible to see that. And here it is here, $810. And this is the Steel Color Cosplay costume. And it's funny. This guy says it's the best version in the market. But he doesn't actually show anything. He shows images from the show and he shows a 3D render. Very funny. I'm not seeing that stupid leg piece anywhere else. I see what you did there, Reese. I see what you did there. It's one of them there Klingons. I tell you, what I wouldn't do to have someone on the inside working on this show that I could get some pictures for me. I did have somebody at Lucasfilm at one point in time, but I don't think they were ever on Star Wars. They were doing other things. Yeah, you can really see like this, right? That color. You see that warmth that's in it. Now, in the opening season, he was on a lot of planets that were warm in color, and so the reflectivity of his armor would kind of make that make sense. I want pictures of his armor. I'm having a hard time finding enough reference because he changed his armor throughout the show. I just got here. Are you there? Are you for sure? Is that where you are, Reese? Are you my inside man? Hot toys. See, most of the reference that I'm finding is cosplayers, action figures, crappy 3D models, and really small images. Let me see what this is. Yeah, there's definitely a curve here. Yeah, you can see it here. That is absolutely curved. Okay. I'm going to save this one too. We save every one of these images. You know what's funny is a lot of the times when I model stuff, I'm constantly telling students, like, when you pay attention to details, you want to treat everything like it's a Star Wars prop, because the Star Wars fans are crazy when it comes to, you know, how legitimate something looks when it comes to the films. And then I find myself working on something Star Warsy here, and yeah. Okay, let's turn that off. I think that's enough curve. I need it to just be subtle. The only other thing I'm going to do is a micro chamfer on these things to and that did not work out. Put one on everything, and I think I can do this. I don't want the back. Okay, I'll turn that off. And we'll run our way down here. And up here. So yeah, other than just having fun, there's no other rhyme or reason for me making this model. Other than, you know, I like me some Star Wars, and I wanna make something Star Wars. Put a little bit of a bend in this outward as well. I know there's not much of a bend. Actually, let's do it with a bend. I know there's not much of one here, if there is one. But that's not right. This way. Negative 90. No, that's bending it that way. Y, Z. There it is. And this. It's that way. Negative 90. So yeah, so I think that's extreme. I think I just need to slightly curve it. And then lastly, I'm going to go give my corners here the micro bevel that I've placed everywhere else on this thing. Boots, eh? I can get into some boots. Let me finish up this armor piece and we'll jump into some boots. Okay, quad 0.5. That was the wrong 0.5. This 1.5. Damn it. Try that again. This 0.5. And I need to bring this down about here. That'll work. So that should make it just look slightly rounded in that area. And now I've got to do something about my endgons here. And I do believe that that's all I need to do. So to fix the endgons here, this is why I like doing this. My Marvelous Designer video. I didn't know I made a Marvelous Designer video. Is it the one with the kid? Or are you watching like earlier ones? There, that should be good. Oh, the back. Oh, I forgot. Oh, you have polygons in the back too. We'll do this. We'll do this. We'll do this. So the nice thing about Mando here is the boots that he wears are actually just, and this is one thing that I love about Star Wars. Ah, yes. Was that one? Okay, I'm going to redo this. I'm going to bring this number down. Let's do 32. There. A little bit better. Okay, the last thing I want to do here is just... let's bring that down. Screw you, back facing. That. I don't think I ever did part 2, to tell you the truth there, Reese. I think I'm going to smooth this corner as well. A little sharp for my liking. Again, because of how low res most of this stuff is, it makes it a lot easier to be able to do those micro chamfers on this thing. So you can see the difference here. I've got that slight bit of color on the armor. And I've been playing around with it in grabbing different hues in order to try and get it to look accurate. Just from what I've seen in the show. And so right now I think I've got it a little bit on the green side. It's almost like an olive green that's there. But he still kind of looks silver. He looks pewter to me. But anyway, that's what I've been playing with. So we'll get rid of that. Okay. So we got a request here for boots. And I got to make me some boots. And so I can jump into that. Now, Mando actually wears legitimate boots. These are actual... these are actual proper boots. And I'll pull this over here. And let's find out what he wears. Mandalorian boots. And the cosplayers have already figured out what he wears. It's these things here. These guys. So that's what the Mando wears. And I don't think they've changed in the Beskar armor. I think it's still the same boots. Which again, I haven't seen much of his lower body in those boots. But I'm gonna get away with. I think I can get away with doing that. What is this? That's not anything. I'd like to know what brand these boots are. Which I just saw them in a box here. This one? They're Skechers, that's right. They're Skechers. I saw this in a it was a cosplayer group where they identified what he was wearing. And I thought, that's fantastic. Okay. So, let me go back here. So the nice thing about actually being able to identify what his boots are is it's going to make it pretty easy for me to then reproduce them. Because I don't have to look for the Mandalorian's boots. I can just look for this actual style of boot and find them pretty faithfully. Which is what I'm going to do here. I want to go find out what they're actually called. It looks like, yeah, there's an additional piece of leather in there. Let me go see. Skechers Blaine Orson ankle boots. Okay, so let's search for that. Images. And again, the nice thing with this is that I actually will find nice high-res pictures of these things. Because that's what they do at shoe companies. And so there's the back. I just did see. I saw the other. There's the side. Let's make sure we are in large images here. And so yeah, I'll be able to grab essentially everything I need from this to be able to start putting them together. And so I'm going to block them out in 3ds Max, but then I'll bring them into ZBrush to do some additional sculpting to get the shape right. I find no matter what, if you just work in Max with various views of something, it never lines up. It never does exactly what you want it to do. And so there's that. Here's the sole. Just nice. It's a not complicated sole. I hate when shoes have an overly complicated sole that I have to model. Okay, so open that in a new tab. Let's see how big that is. It's beautiful. Look at that. It's lovely. Lovely. So we'll save this here. I remember at one point I was making shoes for a female character. And I thought, oh, you know what? It'd be really cool to flex the... it'd be really cool to be able to flex my my photogrammetry skills and make... you know, I should probably just follow these to the website. That's a really good one, too. I thought it'd be really nice to flex my photogrammetry skills and scan a pair of boots for this female character I was working on. And when my wife heard this, she was like, you just tell me what you need, honey. I'm going to go to the store and I'll buy it. That's not what I needed. Okay. I can't click on this to get a larger image. You're not doing what I want you to do. Okay, that one's not going to work. Let's try. That was on Amazon. Let's try one of these other ones here. That's Amazon as well. That's not Amazon. Let's go take a look and see where this is. Just need one of these shoe selling stores to have all the pictures together. Just odd to see like that view. Like, look, we're selling shoes. Here's the shoe. Amazon. Oh, here's this one. This is nice too, because I've got a good chunk of reference for that scuffed, dirty kind of brown, dark brown leather. My wife just sent me a message, and apparently my son is now listening as well, which means there's going to be some kids that are going to have a hard time getting up tomorrow. That is not the ankle boot. Oh no, that is totally it. Okay, let's go check out where that one is. There we go. That's what I was looking for. That's what I was looking for. So, there's all my images. So, fantastic. Let's see. Hold on. I'll make sure these are all the same foot, too. So, the right, the right, the right, the right, the right, the right, the right. Okay. They're all the right. I think there's two different shoes here. I'm not sure why there's two tops and two bottoms. Okay, so I'm going to grab the back, save image as, put that there. Grab the bottom I already grabbed, and we'll grab a top. I think the other top was a better shot. Yeah. I'm going to save this one. The outside. And did I grab the inside? There's no inside here. It's peculiar. Two different boots, and they've got the inside but not the outside. Let's see if we can't find that inside. Amazon again. These are the exact same images. Again, with the same two different top views. Very bizarre. Okay. I'm gonna call it good enough. Wouldn't like to see what's on that inside. It looks like it's... Let's see if I can find the right boot. It looks like it's just solid leather. No, it's just like this. So the inside and the outside look like they're the same. Ha! Mandalorian. What is this? Is this another... Yeah. So yeah, this is people identifying them boots again. Them lovely cosplayers doing all of my reference and research for me. I absolutely love it. I do. I don't want Amazon, Amazon, eBay. Amazon, 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 Amazon used. Why would someone buy used shoes? Seems very foreign to me. Okay, let's go see what we can do here about placing some image planes in my scene in order to start placing these. So I have my fella here, and I do this often with my characters, where this gentleman is barefoot but in socks. I kind of sculpt some of the anatomical details that are there. I didn't put a lot of work into his feet. And I do this because, for the most part, every character you make is wearing footwear. You know, it's very rare that you get a character who's actually barefoot. If I do need to make... pardon me, if I do need to make a barefoot character, I'll often just make a pair of feet and attach them on, which I've done in the past. But anyway, let's open up my reference image here. And if I recall, this is the outside of the right. This is also the outside of the right. Yeah. So, hi, Snake Eyes. I don't know who you are. I'm gonna go pop this open. 1280 by 960. So that's going to help me out a little bit here. So in max, I'm going to go to the side view here and throw a plane down about where his feet are and use the measurements from that plane. So 96 by 128, which is going to be enormous, but that's fine. And I'm going to go and drag that image in here. And now I need to scale these boots until they fit. So usually when I do this, let's make the fella transparent. Usually when I do this, I like to put the pivot point, effect pivot only, kind of at the back where your heel goes. Kind of about there. Because then when I scale it, it just scales the toe in and out from that region. Nope, don't do that. Do that. And then, I thought I was in Maya here again. So you can see that if I line his ankle up with where the foot is, there's a huge gap at the back, which is really, really normal. One of the things that happens when you wear footwear compared to when you wear clothing alters its shape based off the shape of your body underneath. And when you wear footwear, the opposite is usually true. The footwear deforms your foot in order to hold the shape. Which is why you see a lot of footwear that have this arc in them. In fact, most footwear have the toes off the ground, which, if you stand barefoot, is not the way that your foot stands. And so it's one of those things that can happen a bunch in terms of putting the footwear on, where you just end up with this kind of misshapen foot based off the shape of the boot. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to model the boot to fit, but I'm then going to bend the leather back a little bit to go around his leg. This is also why the placement of this boot here, if I bring the grid in, you can see that the zero plane is now underneath, where the ground is underneath the zero plane. And that's because I always model my characters on the ground, but then always put them in boots or shoes or whatnot. So that always happens to me. Okay, so there's the first one. And I'm going to want to bring the top one in here as well. And I'm hoping, since these were all pulled from the same website, that they are all indeed the same size, 1280, 960, which they are. And the reason that that's kind of helpful is that, I'm just going to move this over here, is that I can take this one and I can hold shift and rotate it 90 degrees and say, okay, and that'll now be the top view here. So if I go back into my image and grab the top and drag that on there, you know, we now have the top, and we now have that one. I don't know that they're the same scale or size yet. I don't know how well these images were placed in the world, or in the photos. So I'll have to, I don't want to move that one. We'll leave that there for now. So yeah, so there's the side, the top, and I'm going to, again, go in here, and there's the back. And the back does look like it actually is a different dimension. We'll go take a look and see. Properties, details, 1280, 960. No, it is identical in dimensions. So I'm going to rotate this. Ooh, hey, no, don't do that. This way. Rotate this up and say, okie dokie dokie. And we'll put the back on here. And let's rotate this down 90 degrees. And now what I need to do is make sure that scale-wise these things are all the same, which will be important. Again, I've got a sole image, but I'm not as concerned about the sole. I'm going to work on the boot or the sock part of this thing first, and then I can work on the other part. So this is going to go over here. This has to go to the front, and there I now have my placement for this. This guy can go down. And there, that's now where the boot's going to go. So, like I said, I've got the left here positioned pretty good with his body. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create some dummies. Helpers. Where's my helpers? Helpers, dummy. And what I'm going to use the dummy for is to just identify where the end of the boot is. I know this is really hard for you guys to see, but there's a white box here, and I'm just going to put the box on the widest part of the boot. Right? Oh, come on. There we go. That's right there. And I'm going to do the same thing at the front. Go and put that at the frontmost part of the boot. And what that's going to allow me to do, is if I go to the top view here now, I can actually see where those boxes are. And I can try and ensure that this thing lines up. So I can see a little bit that widest point is about here. I'm looking at the black curve at the back and where that's going to dissipate. I think it's about there. And I can see that I'm actually off in the front. And so if I just go to scale and scale this up, come on, about there. That went to, oh, you're not scaling anywhere near the way you're supposed to. There we go. Let's go into the scale and just finesse it a little bit. So there. So that lines that one up a little bit better. So these two images are now placed and scaled together. And then we can go and do this one as well. So to do this one, I need to use the top one. I'm going to reset its X form here so that it is the right scale. And I'll start by grabbing this block. And I'll put it the widest point of the insole, or the instep. And I'll put this one on the widest part of the outstep, or the outside of the foot. And then, if I go back to my back view, we can see where these things are. And again, so there's perspective in this image, which is making this really hard to see, because the widest part that I was looking at was right here and right here. So it might have been better to use the widest part of the sole to do this, which is also a shame because I can't really see it. Because it's hidden there. I can kind of see inside the boot where that is, but I think that's okay. So that means that I'm pretty pleased with where everything is here at the moment. That's awesome. This thing has been rotated 5 degrees off. That's better. Reset the X form on that. I'm going to delete my dummies now. Bye, dummies. And now I can actually go in and start plotting this out. Now, when I start modeling a boot like this, I don't actually want to pay attention to where his foot is. I'm essentially going to just cut his feet off at the ankle, and I'm going to shift the boot to match where his ankle is. But I really just kind of want to place this, make this model as a one-off, and so not really paying much attention to it. Hey, Rich, yeah, I did. I watched it after the fact. I was actually in class when it started. But I did go back and watch it. Pretty unimpressive. We're talking about an $800 console, which is unimpressive. And no games at release. You know, you get some DLC for a Spider-Man game that I already own. Which I'm not buying another copy to play Miles Morales. That's stupid. And so, yeah, no, there was nothing there that I thought was good. I think Sony's done some pretty stupid things here with what they're doing. So I'm going to start off by throwing a box in here, and I'm going to make the box just kind of the width of the opening, like so. And we'll turn on my wireframe in the box. I would like to try and line this up here. If I go to my back view, line this up a little bit with the boot here, if I can. That's got to go to the left view. I keep trying to go to my right view. Well, it looks like the back view is really skewed. I already have the ability of playing PS4 games, right? It's not impressive. I'm not buying an $800 console so I can play games that I already own. That's stupid. I'm looking forward to developing games moving forward, Yash, but I don't typically see them as just PS5 games. I just see them as the way games are going to be moving forward, right? Um, I want to make UE5 games, not PS5 games. So I'm doing a very rudimentary version of this thing here, which you can see right now is just a box that is kind of shaped like this. So it's got a little bit of a toe area, it's got an ankle area, and it's got a heel area, but it's really, really rudimentary. And that's because I'm going to be modeling this in a sub D type of modeling procedure here. So the way that that works is you have a couple of modifiers that you can apply to this mesh. You can do open subdiv, which is this one, and you can see that that's going to start manipulating this thing to make it look rounder and blobbier. I probably want to turn on off the isoline display so I can see all of my topology. And then you can give it a couple of iterations so it starts becoming a little bit higher poly. And this is actually about where I want my topology to be in terms of the density. The shape's no good, but you can see that I'm kind of already most of the way there at this point. And the idea is that when you're here, you go back to your edit poly, you turn on your show end your show end result button, which shows you what the modifiers are doing. And I can now go play around with these vertices here to try and fix the shape of this to match the boot a little bit more. And again, I want it to go into the sole, right? Your foot, this isn't a flat edge here. That sole is kind of wrapped around this thing. We're going to go swift loop out here. And I'll go and put another one. We'll go drop this down. Put it in there. I'm going to try and make the bottom of the boot hit about where those laces are. I'm going to put another one here too. About there. Yeah, that's not where I wanted that to go at all. I wanted to go here. And we'll bring this up again, try and keep it conformed to about where that lace is. So we'll go around there. I can pull this back up again and put it here. Maybe up a little bit higher. Again, looking at where that lace area is. I'll put another one in here so that I can bring this in. And again, try and hold that shape. This will have to come in a little bit. It's not too bad. In the front, we'll pull this out and we'll bring this in. Here's somewhere about there. We'll start bringing the top of the bridge of the foot out and the toe area down. And again, I'm not looking at I'm not looking at my vertices or my edges here. I'm actually looking at the gray mesh underneath, trying to ensure that that holds the shape of the boot. Until I'm pretty close. If I go to my top view now, I can go and add another edge in here. And I'm going to want to curve that front towards the front a little bit here. But the idea now is to do the same thing in the top view. All right, start manipulating your geo until it lines up with about where everything is. And again, I'll bring these in and over. Up a little bit more. And we'll go out here. That's probably not too bad there. I think I need to do the 3 of these. Pull that out there. I can see that I'm probably going to need some more geo in here as well. These 3 can come this way. And again, I'm going to get the arch of the foot here, which is not quite present here. Okay, not too bad, not too bad. I want to do a little bit of the back here as well. So we'll grab these ones and we'll come out, and we'll grab these ones and we'll come out. And then this can come out, and this can come out. The next thing I need to do is make sure that I'm getting that rounded effect by having these actually reach around the boot so that this actually curves in a spherical kind of way back there. And I'm gonna hide everything here and turn this off. I also need to drop some of these things down. So this, and this. These are all pinky side of the boot here. And you can see the boot is way too big here. So I'm gonna drop these down to start giving me a little bit more of that toe shape here where it kind of arced a little bit more. And then I'll do the same thing with these ones. So these two are going to come down. And I don't need them to go down quite as much. But that's going to start helping me get the rest of the shape of that quite nice. Now, the other thing that I want to do here is up at the front. Again, it's pretty flat through here. And that's just because these things have all been moved together. So I'm going to move them independently now. That's the two sides versus the front. And I can pull the sides back, and I'm going to move the front up a little bit just because that moved it back doing that. So that'll give me that shape back there again. I'm going to go and grab the vertex right in the middle of the top, and I'm going to delete it, which is going to start giving me the opening here for his ankle. And I can start tapering this in a little bit. Bring this in. And I can do the same thing with these two. Bring this in. Again, your heel is a little bit thinner once it gets above the ankle. Hey, Bray. How you doing, brother? How's that environment going, dude? Okay, so once I'm kind of pleased with the kind of rough shape that I'm getting here, and again, I'm gonna bring my reference materials back, and let me look at this from above. I want to tilt that mouth closed a little bit more. I do have to be careful just how much I tilt the mouth closed because the that's not the mouth. Good, man, good. I'm excited to see what you're putting together. I'm gonna have to eventually shape the neck here to match his ankle. Luckily for me, he's got a lot of overlapping fabrics, and so I don't really need to worry too much about the mouth fitting with his foot. But anyway, this is going to be about good enough for me. I'm going to go and convert it to an editable poly. Cool, man. Yeah, I'm excited to see it. So once I have this much of it done, we can go and export this. So I'm going to export this out. We're going to go into my Mando folder. Mando. OBJ. We'll flip this over to OBJ. And we'll call this boot body. Which, if you were to do a search in my project folder, you would find a ton of boot body shapes because, well, this is typically the process I take. Now, I'm actually going the long route of doing this here for Reese's benefit because he wanted me to demo doing this. Typically, what I do if I was making a boot is I'd go through what I already have and see what I can pilfer. Because I have stuff that's already done that's close to the shape, which is a lot faster than starting something new. And so I might take something that is already. So when you actually make shoes for realsies, there's something called a last, and a shoe last is a artificial foot upon which they sew the leather and everything in order to get the shape of the foot right. And I typically use older boots that I've 3D modeled as lasts. You know, I'll go retopologize on top of them to give myself a new boot or whatnot. And so, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go check out what Mike did here. He posted it into Vips. Let me go see where you are here. Vips. Yeah, it's not too bad. Not too bad. The lighting, I think, is a little suspect. I wouldn't mind seeing something better with your lights. Are these are fluorescent tubes up here? It's not reading to me right now as being the light from fluorescent tubes. It feels too uniform and contrasty. Like there's big dark areas near the light, and then there's kind of like weird light areas that don't seem to be correlated to where those lights are. I think that's kind of one of my biggest kind of nitpicks with this. It's coming along, dude. It's looking good. I'm stoked to see how the rest of it plays out. Let me go projects, Mando, and into OBJ and boot body. So what my goal is here now, I'm going to turn on perspective because a foot never looks right when you're not in perspective. Yeah, no, not a bad idea, man. Get some lights in there so that you can see things, and then yeah, fill the room and then start lighting it for sure. So now that I've got this in here, it's going to give me the ability to start tweaking the shape a little bit. So I'm going to use just the move brush. I'm not going to subdivide this. I'm not going to do anything like that. And my goal is to kind of just shape this a little bit more like a foot. So, you know, I want to make sure that the ball of the foot is a nice wide area. And I'm going to bring in a little bit on the outside, but primarily on the, or on the outside, but primarily on the inside. Yeah, I can do that, man, for sure. And so this is going to also pull in the arch of the foot, which makes it, you know, feel a little bit more like you get that overhang of the top of the boot hanging over, you know, a negative gap. And so I'm trying to do very large movements here and not very small ones so I don't get anything jagged. But that is a little bit closer to what I wanted to see with this thing. I'm going to leave that like that. So I'm going to wait until I get a soul built here. I have no soul. And the reason I want to wait for the soul is that it's hard to really see the entire proper shape of this thing. So I'll import this here so you can see the two of them together. And how minor those changes I made were in terms of what I'm doing. Where am I? Projects? Where the hell am I? Desktop? Projects? There we go. Mando. Objects. Boot body. Okie doke. So if I just show you these two things together here. The wireframe one, the white one, is the new one, and the gray one is the old one. So you can see there's very minor changes, right? It's the arch. It's bringing in the heel at the back a little bit. It's playing with the width down here. There's not a lot of changes. So I'll grab the gray one and delete it, and I'll kill the color on this one because I don't actually want that. Okay. Hey, Ted. I did see the new Mandalorian trailer. I actually called my daughter into the room. It's not a movie, dude. It's a TV show. But yes, it looks freaking-tastic, man. I'm digging it. I am absolutely digging it. Okay, so I'm going to go and select everything here minus the character again so I can isolate them. We'll turn this thing invisible again. What I want to do now is I want to go and identify where the soul's going to go. So you can see I'm actually a little out of proportions here. That's all right. I don't care too much about that. What I'm really interested in doing is getting that sole to be correct. So I need to put essentially I need to put an edge on this where the sole is going to begin. Oh yeah, no, for sure, Mike. I'm 100% with you on that. So I'm going to start off by adding a new edge here. Okay, so this has gone and split the model up a little bit. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to start dropping things down. Okay, so I'm going to start with this, and I'm going to try and just get, so that's my new edge along the top of these polygons. And my goal here is that I actually want to bring this down. I'll have to do it on the other side here. Let's go all the way around so that I can see this. Oops. Here. And there, I should be able to go grab that. Really, that was it? One? Okay. Let me undo the hidden. I can do that without the hidden. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to grab these guys. Left view. And I'm going to drop them down until that edge is where the scene goes. So now I'm going to go to my vertices. You can see that I've got it along that dotted line. Actually, that's too low. Let me go back here. I want it to be there. So it's not the stitching that I want, but the top of the rubber that I want. So I'm going to go to my edges here now, and I'm going to bring these up with the edge constraint on until they kind of follow the shape around the boot. Okay, so from there to there, this one's going to go down just a little bit. And the edge constraint is making sure that this doesn't change the shape of the boot. And so we're going to go up here, up here. I'm really only dealing with the close side at this point. Again, I don't have a shot of the inside of this thing, so I'm going to have to kind of eyeball it to get it close enough. So then we're going to go up and up and up. Now, when I start getting to this point, where you can see that, like, I've got two edges really close together, and here they're actually going to go past one another. I'll move that one up, and then I'll move this one into the position. I'm not worried about those. I've got a little trick here that I use to recorrect that. That one will go there, and this one will go into the right place. That's not terrible. Oh, that's not the right one. Nah, that toe did come down a little bit. That's okay. We're going to move that one. I'm going to move that one, and then we'll get this one into place. Okay, here, and here, and there, and then there. And what this is going to do, when I have this actually follow the shape of the sole, is it's going to give me the ability to... Now I'm going to do this in the opposite order here. I'm going to start at the bottom and bring it up. And then I'm going to bring this one up. And then I'll bring this one up. And that's going to preserve the curvature that was there. Okay, we'll do the same thing here. This one to that one. This one to that one. This one up here. And I'm just kind of estimating where these things are going to go based off what I can see in the back. Something like that. Let's isolate this now. Since I've gotten to the front of the boot here and I can't really see that other side. And so I'm going to have to kind of manually do this, which again is not the end of the world here. I'm going to grab a bunch of these guys together and I'll move them up until the next row. And then we'll grab the next row. And I'll just remove everything I don't need. And we can move it up. And again, this is going to help preserve the curvature of the boot by doing this. As I reposition these edges here. It makes it so that I don't have to retopologize every now and then. And so the more I can kind of play around with this shape. There we go. Now I can bring these guys up to where I actually want them. So again, I'm going to kind of watch the curvature that's going on here. And I'm going to bring that up a little bit more. And then we'll lose that one. Up. Lose that one. Up. Lose that one. And up. Like that. So now I've got this really nice curvature going up here. Try and make sure that that's contiguous and not wobbling through here. Okay, and then we'll do the same thing, kind of running around the back here. I've already kind of gone and done it there, and this stuff's going to be fine. I just need to bring that curvature kind of back down this way. So I'll start by bringing the 3 of these up. Lose that one. Lose that one. And that's up. And then we'll do these 3. Up. Forget it. Up. Forget it. Up. And this is just going to ensure that I get a more accurate sole on this. So there. And we'll do the same thing here again. Up. And remove this. Up and remove this. Up here. That's too high. It's starting to arc back up again. So there. 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 And that should be it. So what I'm going to do now is grab all of the stuff I had at the bottom and delete it. Okay, so this leaves me with just the sock part of the boot here. And I'm going to go and correct the angle on these things. Like so. So I'm just readjusting the curvature on these things. The shortcut that I'm using here to do this is loops, loop tools, and space. And I have that on a custom shortcut because I use it a lot. And what that does is it automatically adjusts all these edges to be exactly the same size. Now the toe here, you can see that's not going to work because that edge comes to an end. Which is fine, you know, it's not the end of the world. I can go and adjust that after. I just wanted to get in the main ones here at the side of this thing that I'd screwed up. To fix these ones, I'm going to clone this boot as a copy and turbo smooth it with just 2 iterations. And then under freeform modeling, we'll convert this to an editable poly. I'm going to grab the original boot and say, let's draw on a surface, and let's pick that surface as the high poly version. And now I'm going to use my relax tool. We'll crank up the stick on surface conform tool here. And now I can actually use the relax tool, kind of shuffle these edges around a little bit. I want to make sure I don't click on the ones at the bottom, the actual bottom edge, because that'll screw everything up. But this will just stick them on the underlying boot, which is the right shape, and gives me the ability to just kind of clean up my topology a little bit more. And so it's kind of a little bit of a shortcut that helps quality of life while doing this stuff. It's not bad like that. For those of you who are frequent watchers, Ian's not here today. He's camping. Told him he was nuts. Well, I didn't tell him he was nuts. I should have told him he was nuts. Freaking September, dude. Way too cold for camp. I tell you, in September, I have many things I would rather be doing than hunkering down in a tent for warmth. Actually, I don't know that he's in a tent. I've been camping with him before, and I don't know that I would want to be doing it this time of year. So there, that's a little bit better in terms of the topology. So now I can grab the one that was turbo smooth, this one, and delete it. And I've now got a little bit of a cleaner set of topology here. So now we'll get out of my isolation mode here, and again, we'll grab our reference planes and our boot, and I'm going to isolate the boot, and I'm going to go to the side view, left, not right, Dove. There we go. And I'm going to grab this open edge, and just holding shift, without edge constraints, just holding shift, I'm going to drag this down to start creating what is going to be the sole. And so that's going to give me kind of the thickness that I want in the right areas here. I do want to kind of make sure that I'm getting topology where I want it. I'm going to do this by moving these guys back. Let's turn that edge constraint on. About there. I'm going to go back to that edge again, and we'll remove everything forward of this. And holding shift, I'll drag without the edge constraint. Holding shift, I'll drag this down as well. And then with the edge constraint back on, we'll put this up to kind of make that sole shape. So that's going to give me the sole of the boot here now. And again, it's not quite the right shape. I need to actually take everything that I've got and make it bigger. So we're going to go and extrude this by local normal. A lot less than 10. I'm going to bring it out maybe something like that, which is going to start giving me the shape of the sole, which isn't too bad. I'm going to go in and take this edge, and I'm going to drop it down a little bit so that it angles out instead of being at 90 degrees. I just find that looks better. And then, technically, all I really want to do is start bridging things across. So here to here, I'll start, make a bridge there, and now I can do the heel. I'll do this, and we'll get rid of that one. I want to find my center edge. That's these two, and we'll bridge here. The reason I got rid of that center edge is I'm going to put another edge down here, followed by a vertex and a target weld. We'll put this on here. So there, now we've got really nice quadded topology all around the sole. This extra little polygon group here, this is going to come in handy in a moment. But there's that. I'm then going to do the same thing here up at the front. We're going to grab that open border. I'll deselect the two polygons at the back. I'll find the center toe. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's this one. And we'll deselect those. And I should be able to bridge now. We'll grab this. We'll ring and connect. And target weld from here. And just make sure that these guys are welded at the back here too. They are not, so we'll weld them. So there, now I've got a sole that I can work on. I'm going to go and give this a auto smooth. We're going to go to that top edge and auto smooth that as well. So that I get my crease back in there. And then we're going to go in, take this edge, and we're going to lay a chamfer in here. It's going to be a mighty small chamfer, maybe something like that. And that's going to give me, again, a rounded shape through there. And I might do the same through here. Chamfer. Yeah, I think I like that. And then I'm going to get rid of that inner edge that I had. And the only reason I'm getting rid of it is I'm seeing an undercut here, which actually shouldn't be there. And so if I get rid of this edge, we should just get from one side of the boot straight across to the other. There's still a little bit of a wall up there. Let's go and pull this down. Oh, edge constraint. Just to try and keep it straight underneath the boot. So I was having a conversation the other day about the video or the Unreal project that somebody put together a ways back. That was, oh, I didn't chamfer all of the heel. This is making me sad. That's going to go all the way around, and a way around, and a way around. And this, and this. And I can't do that. But I'll do that. About that Unreal project that a bunch of people did that was Tatooine. And you could go and wander around and you know, see the Millennium Falcon, you know, in a corner, and you know, a thing here, a thing there, and how much people love that thing. And anyway, the conversation I had quickly turned into, wouldn't it be nice to take that environment that somebody built and put Mando into it, so that you can actually walk around that environment. And I thought, hells yeah, that would be really, really cool. And that's one of the things that I find that project was lacking. There were droids in it. There was a Gonk and a couple of astromechs, but it wasn't character meshes. And that is definitely one of them projects that had I known the people working on it, I'd been like, hey, I'm gonna do your character work. I'm gonna do this thing right. So I'm just trying to clean up this chamfer a little bit here. I didn't get enough edges selected when I chamfered this, and as a result, I've got some funky geo going here. Holy jeez. I just saw the Discord. There's peoples everywhere. Holy moly. Okay. I'm getting distracted. I'm gonna keep modeling here. So my goal here is to fix the topology in here to what it should have been had I chamfered that properly. Which is fairly easy. I kind of know what the topology is supposed to look like. It's just a matter of going and doing what's supposed to be there. And so I'm just going to cut from here. Oh, come on. There we go. Go and cut again. A quick tip for using fiber mesh when it comes to hair. So when I use fiber mesh for hair, I will create a preset that has the look of what I like for hair. And then whenever I do the next character, I kind of preload that preset back in as a starting point, which gives me a much better time kind of laying it in. My recommendations would be, don't try and do all the hair at once. You know, lay in a patch here, a patch there, until you're good with where things are. If you try to do it all at once, there's just too much to manage. And so do a little bit at a time. You know, do the bangs, and then jump in and do you know, the top of the head, the crown, do the temples, go down the sides, go down the back. You know, spend kind of a little bit of time in each area, and don't consider one patch done. You know, if you do his bangs first or her bangs first, and then you go in and do the you know, the next little area, go back and then tweak the bangs, right, to make sure that it's interacting with the other hairs the way that it's supposed to. And then, you know, do the temples, and then go back and tweak everything again to make sure that, again, it's reacting with the geometry the way that it's supposed to. Yeah. Yeah, it can be really, really tough, Ted. It's just a lot of practice, my friend. And so, yeah, that's there's no real big trick to it. You just kind of gotta keep on. Okay. So I'm going to delete my reference pictures here now, as I've got a boot that I'm going to go move to where his ankle is. And you'll actually notice, if you look at my character here, let me do this from the bottom. Oh, I hate you, Max. So, the bane of my existence. If I go to my cameras, you can see very clearly that bottom has the shortcut of B. I'll see you, Ted. Thanks for hanging out, pal. So, if I hit B, it's not actually going to the bottom camera. B is turning on another tool, which isn't what I want. So anyway, if we look at him from the bottom, you can see that his feet are actually splayed out a little bit. Now, some riggers, and actually, Ash, you can talk to this. Some riggers prefer it if the feet point perfectly forward when they do their ringing. I'm assuming as part of doing the IK scenario with the legs, and I've never done that. I always, when I model my feet, they're always out, probably at about 15 degrees or so. And that's just because it looks more natural to me the way that they stand. And so I just find it really hard to make something look especially human when I'm kind of doing things that isn't particularly human. And so anyway, if I go and rotate this, and you can see 15 degrees actually makes it cover, oops, that was not 15. 15 degrees actually makes it cover his foot fairly well. I'll have to move it over here a little bit to line it up. And that's going to work for his boot. I mean, I've got more details and things to put on it. I'm going to do the sole as just a texture. But if I go into the fella here now, and I go to my side view, let's go and do here, like this. And we'll do that. And that. And there. I've severed his feet. And so now I can kind of actually see what that boot's going to look like on him. Again, he's actually got leather calf pads that go all the way up and things that hang over his boot. But that is, for the most part, the process that's done in doing this. Again, I don't really need to do another boot because I'm going to mirror this one over. But I do need to go in and try and figure out how exactly the hell I'm going to do the other things that are here. And so if I go look at reference of his boot. That one. So yeah, so there's some other leather panels that are on here. I don't know if these were actually part of the boot or not. Looks like his toe is pretty square too. That's a Boba Fett thing. Boba Fett had two prongs on the front of his toe. And I don't know what their purpose was, but it was a very square toe. And so anyway, those panels, I'm probably going to want to put them on here. And the way that I would do that is I would start retopologizing this boot. Meaning I would take my reference images here, which would be, you know, again, like this image here. And I can see where that panel goes. And essentially, I would just retopologize where these panels are on the boot, which is something I'm going to need to do. I also will, in terms of my workflow here, let me show you another thing that I do later on, because I'm nowhere near doing it on these boots, and I don't particularly want to jump ahead to that. But I'm going to do this on all of the clothing. I'm going to go in and on the boot, so where I lay out my topology is going to follow where the leather is. Okay, so it's going to be doing this kind of thing here. And again, I'm going to have polygons going this way, right, that are going to make up this shape. So wherever there is stitching, I'm actually going to have a row of polygons follow the stitching like that. Okay, and the same thing here. You can see that there's stitching on the outside of this and the outside of this. That means that this is actually going to be a polygon there and polygons that go up here, like this. Now, the reason for that is that I'm going to do two UV channels. One that actually just gets the shape of the boot with the wrinkles and everything in it that looks really good. The second is going to have all of these strips where the stitches go. Are going to look like that. It's going to have those all unwrapped linear, and I'm going to have a tiling stitch texture that then follows that wherever it goes. And so I'm going to want to put that stitching everywhere. You can see that he's got stitching like up here on his leather, down here on this boot. He's got it all over this boot. It's in between these little holder things here. It's on the entire gray suit that he's got everywhere. He's actually got a pattern in stitching. And so I'm going to want to reproduce most of that when I work, because it'll be super important to making this thing look accurate and higher res than it actually is. So I'm going to have to retopologize this at some point to put on those details where they go. But right now, that'll work for just getting the shape right to make sure that he looks the way that he's supposed to look. And so yeah, there's your boot, Reese. That's all I got to say about that. So I'm going to go back into his armor here now and jump down the other leg. I think I had some pretty decent reference for that. I can find it. Project Mando. Mando Calrissian. This deal's getting worse all the time. Where is... I just had it. I don't know if that's what you were looking for, Reese, but that's about my process, brother. That's kind of what I do. There it is. That'll go there. I'll need another one there. Okay. I'm gonna mount this over here. See what I can do about generating this. So, front plane. Like so. I think this needs to be a little bit higher. Let's give this a height segment. 2, 4, 2 height segments. Put this to an editable poly. And let's see what we can do here. So this is going to come down and in. Not too bad. That one's going to stay about there. These are going to come in quite a bit. Go up. This one's going to come up here. This one can be far more subtle. Far more subtle. Okay, so that's not bad. I then want to... Ooh, that's not going to work for me. I'm going to add a slice plane. That I'll just try and put right down the middle here. Not centered. Centered there. Okay, so that's worth noting. I can't put the slice plane in yet. I've misplaced. So the center of this needs to line up with the right of that. On what, Yash? What are you working on? Or are you talking about this guy? if I put if I do mocap for this, then I'll end up doing something like grabbing Robert. If I don't know if Robert's still here, but grabbing someone like Robert who has some military experience and would serve really well for being able to move the right way. There are 3 actors who portray the Mandalorian in the show. The first of which is Pedro Pascal, who is the voice of the character. The second is a firearms expert who handles all of the gunplay that the character does. And the third is a martial artist who does all the hand-to-hand stuff. And so whenever you see Mando move, that just screwed up my mesh, didn't it? It did. At the X form. And so yeah, so whenever you see Mando move in a combat situation, or like when he draws his gun, or whenever he does the things that he's supposed to do, you know, there's actually someone with a decent amount of skill behind there that's doing those actions, which is freaking badass that they do that. And it's one of the things that, I mean, you're able to get away with doing that because your character is always in a helmet, right? Technically, it doesn't really matter who's in the helmet, provided they can move the right way. And so there's kind of that side of things too. Okay, this is going to be a little wonky here to me. I've got to put another edge in here that I'm going to bring up a little bit here. I want to get that curve proper. And the curve here. What's crazy cool is that the I think it's the martial artist. I'll see if I can find a picture of him. Mandalorian martial artist actor. The guy who is the martial artist in the Mandalorian is he's got like a full head of dreads, man. There he is. So there's the firearm actor. That's this guy. And then this guy is the guy who does the martial artist. And he's got this crazy freaking head of dreads that they put inside the helmet. Dreads, or he's got braids. He's got this crazy hairdo. I'm gonna go see. Okay, Mandalorian. That one. Lateef Crowder. I just want to show you this dude because this is what the Mandalorian looks like when he's a martial artist. And this guy, like, he doesn't ditch his hair. That's what his hair is like underneath the helmet, which is just friggin' mental. I wonder if he's the dude from Mortal Kombat. I bet you he is. I bet you he's the guy that Liu Kang fights. Anyway, yeah, he's got this this crazy long mane of hair that is all tucked up in under the helmet. There he is. There. That's what his hair looks like. Which, man, that's freaking awesome. That's what's under that helmet. I'm gonna go to his IMDb because I'm just seeing the dude and I'm like, oh yeah, I know he's from Mortal Kombat. It is, right? It is totally him. The dude that fights Liu Kang. When the hell did Mortal Kombat come out? Actor. Huh. There he is. Oh, he's in Rebirth. So no, it's not him. He played Baraka in Rebirth. which was I think it was the fan-made thing. But no, he's totally not the dude that I thought of. It's the guy that Liu Kang fought on the beach. You know, the guy that snarls at him? I totally thought that was him. Okay, I'm going to put another edge in here. Let's do this from the front. Like so. I can't move these two because they are an extrusion, but I need this curve to flow. Okay, now I'm going to do my inset. And we'll bring it down a little bit and see the other one. And try and get them to match somewhat if I can. I know that it matters. Yeah, no, I totally thought it was him, man. I want to go look that dude up now to see who was the guy on the beach. Let's go see. Liu Kang beach fight. Ramen Shu, Hakeem Alston. Check the Discord. Where? Ah, there he is, yeah. Yeah, his name is Hakeem Alston. And he's got the same hair. That's probably what I thought of. That guy's freaking ripped, man. The only thing I remember from that, though, is that snarl that he did. That he, like, there's something about the way that he pulled his lips back to reveal his teeth that felt very animalistic. Really, really freaking cool. Okie dokie, we're going to extrude. Hey, we're not going to extrude. I'm going to put a shell on this so that I remember to do the shell. Good enough. Polygons. Loop around. A loop up, a loop up, a loop down. Loop, loop, loop. That's true, Ryan. I never thought of that. God, was Mortal Kombat 20 years ago? God, that's mental, man. There's a Lego kit my son asked me for Christmas that made me feel old. Which is the Lego NES. My son called it the what did he call it? The classic Switch, or the old Switch, or the old school Switch, or something like that. And yeah, it was kind of hilarious. But he wants the Lego NES. And so I go and check this thing out to see what it's all about. And it's cool. I mean, it's an NES. You got to do the circuit board inside the console and everything, and then you build the console, and it's got the door, and you build the game, and you put the game in, and you got to blow in the game. It's really kind of funny. But the thing that made me feel old about that was that the reason Lego is releasing the Lego NES is that is the 35th anniversary of the NES. And I was like, holy shit. 35 years? I was like, it's gotta be typo. It's gotta be wrong. No fucking way. 35 years. You know what? In 35 years. Freaking mental. I'm trying to get a good look at how curved this thing is. Right? Doesn't that make you feel old? I mean, you're not as old as me, but I remember all too well the NES. Okay, so there's that thigh pad. I'm going to go and do my chamfer magic here to ensure that this looks correct. I do have a wee bit of an issue here. Before I do the chamfer, I meant to bevel this, and instead I extruded it. So I'm going to do a little bit of a trick here to turn my extrusion into a bevel. Which is I'm going to add 2 edges. Not there. This. No, not this. I'm going to add 2 edges which have the offset. That's your birth year. Oh. And then I'm going to go and target weld this one back. And the same thing at the bottom. Just because that's where they connect, I have to target weld these ones. But then I can go grab this edge, this edge, this edge, and remove them. And now my extrusion is a bevel. It ain't pretty, but it works. I now want to do chamfers on the corners that are meant to be corners. Oh, really, eh? This is actually quite a bit rounded on the actual design here. You know what I'm going to do? Because I used the bend modifier on this, this row of polygons got larger than it should have, because it was bent out, which skews it a little bit. Let's do a loop here. No, you're not going to do that for me. That one, that one, that one, that one, that one, and that one. We'll see how round I can get this looking. I can actually see the reference on the other screen here, so I'm going to try and get this to match. I'm going to do a quad, 0.5. I'm going to do a quad. Uniform, 0.5. Bring it down. See, I think it's going to go there. And then what I'm going to do, remove that one. Try and move this down away from the bevel. Oh. Nope, actually that just freaking worked. Okay. So that's right. These guys got pulled up a little bit too much. Pull them down a little bit. Too crazy? And then I'm going to do the same thing down here. Now, unlike when I stream for the, when I was streaming for the basement, I ain't able to go to midnight here now. And that's because I got to get my ass up early enough in the morning that I drop the kids off at school. And so I'm going to finish this pad. That's fine. I'm going to finish this pad and then I call it an evening there. Okay, so just these guys, chamfer. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I like that. Okay. Hey, Shin. How you doing, brother? Curve that up. That up. So I've got a lot of N-gons on here that I'm not particularly happy about. But luckily, they came with their own fix, which was a vertex that exists alongside them. Cool, man. Glad to hear it. Got my first dose of Sheridan this week, which was interesting. I've been at George Brown for a week already, right? They start before Sheridan does, so I kind of got a week to get into the flow of things there, which I'm actually kind of grateful for. It would have been a lot harder, I think, to jump into both schools kind of at the same time. And so, yeah, no, I'm totally there, Shin. I have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at Sheridan. Those have got to go down. This and this. That down a little bit. I'm just looking at the curvature here, trying to keep this consistent. And I think shy of that, we can clean up these end guns in the back here. Do some smoothing groups, and I think I'm going to be good with this. I do not, sir. I do not teach third year. I only have my hands on the second years, and so I'm doing the new curriculum with the second years. I don't know if things will change down the road, but for now, no. I'm just doing second year stuff again. I'll spin this around. Ah, that's lovely. Yeah, I'll take that. Oop. And throw that material on there just so we can get a better sense of what's going on. Cool, so I've got I think there's only 2 more pieces of armor I've got to do. Well, 4 more, technically. Which are the gauntlets. So the gauntlets are broken up into 2 bits and pieces here. That's probably not the best reference. Where's this one? So they are broken up into the actual wrist covering gauntlet and then a metal plate that sits on his glove. And then there's the same thing on the other side. So the metal plate on his glove, and then he's got another. And both of the bracers, both of the actual gauntlet things are different. I think this is the one that's supposed to be the grapple line. I'd have to double check. But this has got a little readout on it. And then this one has a keypad at the front, and then the whistling birds at the back. So the little missile with all the holes in it. Yeah, see, that's an old one. That's not what he's wearing. Yeah, see all these little things out here? The LED displays at the front, and the new one, it's at the back. So this is, again, one of the problems is that he alters his armor throughout the show. And it makes it... That's not what I wanted at all. It definitely makes it harder to come across photos of the right thing. Because a bunch of these are of the old costume. But yeah, LED readout, and there was another screen or something there at the front. That's the action figure. It's not much use to me. But regardless, those are the things that I've got to do next. I want to throw material on this little pad that I've made here. It's kind of bothering me. Let me go see what color that thing's supposed to be. So it's kind of a green-gray. Let's go to my materials here. Throw this material on it, and we'll go into that color, and we'll shift into kind of a greenish value, and I'm going to turn the saturation down. Do something like that. Might be overly green. But there is a good chunk of that armor. I've got to do his gloves and his fabric and everything. I'm not going to bother with that. I might try to... Yeah, it's not a bad idea, Mike. Especially since I can play it in 4K on my screen, right? And so I may have to do that. I can't do that while I'm live streaming because I will get dinged to all hell with copyright. But yeah, That would definitely be a way of doing it. It's also really hard to tell where I'm placing the armor because I'm putting it on a naked man right now, which is definitely hey, how's it going? It's definitely really different to have the armor on a naked form than on all the fabric and everything. And so, once I get his actual clothing in here, I'm gonna have to readjust kind of all these things and where they sit and how they're positioned. I'm also going to be doing things like his chest piece here. I'm going to bring it in as an avatar. So I'm going to start it out here, and I'm going to morph it onto his body. So when I have the clothing there, that chest piece is actually going to manipulate the clothing underneath, which will give me some really nice wrinkles. And then the other things that I got to build are his weapons. And so I've got his pistolero that I got to build, which doesn't look overly complex. Actually, it looks really, really straightforward. Some really nice shapes in here. That's a tamping rod. That's what that is. So this rod here, you would take this part and you pull it essentially towards us. And then the whole thing slides back, and then you would push that into the barrel. Looks like this might be a really, really old gun. And then I've got the full rifle to make, which is this one. If you didn't know this, this rifle is actually, its original design is Boba Fett's. Boba Fett in the holiday special, which they say is not canon any longer. Boba Fett in that show had this gun. That was what he looked like in there. Interesting to note that he only had 3 fingers too. But yeah, there's Boba Fett in what he looked like. This is actually the first appearance of Boba Fett. Was in the holiday special. But anyway, he had this really unique looking gun, and that's what they used to make this gun. They kind of went with that design, which is kind of cool. I kind of like that they did that. I kind of like that it makes the holiday special. It kind of makes the holiday special legitimate, which is pretty funny. But yeah, anyway, I've got to do this rifle. This too looks really super uber simple. There's really not a lot going on here. It's all some pretty simplistic shapes kind of stuck together. I've actually watched a couple of maker videos, prop builders, who have made those weapons. And so I don't know how accurate they were, but being able to watch them do it kind of gave me some insight into how the things are put together and whatnot. And so, anyway, with that piece of armor done, I'm going to call this a day, because I got me a class. Yeah, that's the one with Chewie's family. With Lubaka. Is it Lubaka? And Mala, his wife. And, his father-in-law. I forget what his father-in-law's name was. Gruffy? Or something like that. It was just stupid. But anyway, there he is there. I've got most of the armor built. The exception of a few pieces that I've got to mirror over, and then making his gauntlets, as well as the shin armor, which isn't built either. Not you shin, different shin, leg shin. And so, yeah, that'll do it for today. Thanks for hanging out and watching. And I'm gonna hit this again tomorrow. I've probably get to his shin pads and his gauntlets tomorrow if I can. I need to find really good reference of his gauntlets, because they are complex from what I've seen, and so it'd be really interesting, really good if I can find some good reference for that. They're not shown a lot, and so I want to try and be able to get a good depiction of those things. And so yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. And I think I'm done teaching tomorrow at 2, and so I might jump right back into this guy and start plugging away on on some more bits and pieces of him, including trying to figure out his clothing and try and work out a sewing pattern for his clothing. So I hope to see you guys then, and yeah, we'll see what you like. Good luck with that, Yash. I hope that goes. I hope that goes well. And yeah, we'll speak with you folks again mañana.